versus 4.6 inches. They also look very, very different. Waterproofing on the Sony Xperia Z3 Compact really does add to the appeal for most people who want a phone to be a lifestyle choice that they can chuck about, maybe get a little bit wet, etc. In addition, those colors make it look so much more fun than the iPhone. It's also available in Mandarin. We've got the green version. The sides are translucent, almost pearlesque. They look really, really cool. Not packing a metal frame like the Z1 Compact before it, but the Z3 Compact really is our choice for most day-to-day users who don't need the most premium phone on the block. And the iPhone, it really has to be said, is the most premium feeling phone on the block. On the one hand, that's good obviously, because check it out, it just looks beautiful. On the other hand, we can imagine if we drop this thing, we might see our lives flashing before our eyes. It just looks super expensive, and indeed it is, especially if you want to go for a capacity above 16 gigabytes, which we would wholeheartedly recommend. The Sony Xperia Z3 Compact comes in at a way lower price point of under £350, which is super impressive. If we take a look at the designs of both though, we can start off by pulling the Z3 Compact closer into frame. You can see on the right hand side you've got that power button, volume rocker, and that really nice translucent material we were talking about. You've also got a two-stage camera button. Now this is a really nice element actually. So if we just like press the button, we can take a picture very quickly without even having to think about finding the application on the screen, etc. You can see at the base you've got stereo microphones. This is a bottom mic, lanyard connector, left hand side, pull out the flap to reveal a nano SIM card slot and a magnetic connector for charging. If we open up the top flap, micro USB connector. Up at the top is that 3.5mm headphone jack and the second microphone for that stereo audio, and a 20.7 megapixel camera around the back that can record 4K video, an NFC contact point, and that is the Sony Xperia Z3 Compact, available in a range of colors, like we said, Mandarin as well as black and white. The black and white version do look pretty demure, it has to be said, but not as demure as the iPhone 6. We didn't mention quickly, you've also got stereo front-facing speakers on the Xperia Z3 Compact. You've got a front-facing camera, an in-call microphone, and a home button on the iPhone 6. That home button, it doubles up as a fingerprint scanner. Not just a fingerprint scanner, double tap it, and it will pull down your whole UI a little bit so that you can handle it with one hand very easily. Quite a nice touch. Right hand side, power button. You've also got a nano SIM card slot, base, lightning connector, loudspeaker, 3.5mm headphone jack, and volume controls, as well as a toggle. No buttons or connections up at the top, but on the reverse, that Apple insignia, 8 megapixel rear facing camera, and a True Tone LED flash. One warm, one cool to improve white balance. And indeed, if you've seen our iPhone 5S versus Xperia Z3 camera comparison, the white balance from that True Tone flash is stupendous. As for those screens, IPS panels on both. The Sony Xperia Z3 Compact comes in at 720p resolution, similar pixel densities, 326 ppi on the iPhone 6. If we put them closer together, you'll be able to make out, if we open up our applications tray, they both look very nice and sharp. As far as what's inside those screens, it is Android versus iOS. Android home screens with widgets and shortcuts to applications as well. Pull down notifications bar with one finger, pull down quick toggles if you use two fingers to pull down. You've also got your applications tray, and Sony customizes the applications tray on their Android to include a bar to the left so you can organize everything more easily. Pinch out, and you can even swap out your themes very quickly, which changes the whole look and feel of your phone. Really nice that you can do that, and anyone who likes customizing, tweaking their phones a little bit more will probably prefer that aspect of Android over iOS, which is a little bit more locked down. How does iOS stack up though in terms of functionality? Well, it used to be incredibly simple. It used to basically just be home screen, which is comprised of applications and folders. But now iOS has borrowed a fair bit from Android, as indeed Android has from iOS. So you've got to pull down notifications tray, and if we swipe to the left, that's where you'll find all your widgets. Swipe up from the bottom and you can see your brightness control, as well as multimedia playback and some quick toggles and application shortcuts too. That's pretty much it though. It isn't much more complicated than that, aside from spotlight search if you just pull down from anywhere within the main user interface. They're both very, very proficient operating systems, definitely the best two out there in terms of utility and app selection. The app selection is very similar across both. iOS may have some higher quality applications, but they will charge you for them. As far as games go, it's a similar kind of story. iOS has a few more premium games like Tekken versus Street Fighter, for example, but they do come in at a very premium price by comparison to most of the games on Android. If you were to take a look at the actual multimedia chops of both, you'll see they're also very similar. Aside from gaming, these two devices pack very decent cameras. They both shoot at 8 megapixels in default mode, although the sensor on the Xperia Z3 Compact is 20.7 megapixels. 8 megapixel sensor on the Apple iPhone 6. The Sony Xperia Z3 Compact can also shoot 4K video. And indeed, the camera has a lot more manual controls on it than that of the iPhone 6. It's a much simpler experience on iOS, although again, it has gotten more complicated through the years. Now with things like exposure control, which we have been longing to see on iOS for a long time. So anyone who wants an automatic shooter will probably prefer the iPhone if our camera comparison with the Z3 and iPhone 5S is anything to go by. Though we can't guarantee that the iPhone 6 will be as good as the 5S, we're just guessing it will. The Sony Xperia Z3 Compact will be the choice for anyone who likes to tinker a little bit more and anyone who needs that 4K video. Other multimedia really will hinge on the internal storage of these things, and we mentioned the Xperia Z3 Compact is a fair bit cheaper. It also only comes in one memory capacity option, 16 gigabytes. This iPhone 6 is available with 16 gigabytes, 64 gigabytes, or 128 gigabytes as well. Now, they're going to be paying a premium for that. The 128 gigabyte version will really set you back around 2 of the Xperia Z3 Compacts. But having said that, if the Xperia Z3 Compact is being bought as primarily as a gaming device, then you may be left without any room after you install 3 or 4 1 or 2 gigabyte games. It is still going to be better for gaming in one respect though, and the iPhone cannot touch the PS4 Remote Play. Open up the PlayStation app, this will launch a little later this year, and you can stream from your PlayStation 4 directly to your Sony Xperia Z3 Compact wherever you are, so long as both your PS4 and Sony Xperia Z3 Compact has Wi-Fi connection. Truly stupendous, and admittedly not the biggest screen for it, but with those speakers doubling up as stereo front-facing speakers from the DualShock controller, it's a very respectable ad hoc solution. Internals include a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor with 2 GB of RAM that's clocked at 2.5 GHz. The iPhone 6 has a new graphics engine, a new processor, an A8 processor, and indeed the gaming engine is going to be much improved. We're going to have to wait until we put it through its paces, and indeed other sites do that are maybe a little bit more technical than us to figure out as to how much of a difference that actually makes. 64-bit